It's another year and a new remastered title from Double Fine. Full Throttle came out in 1995 and it was much different from the traditional adventure games at the time. It included the standard point-and-click mechanics, but also incorporated action elements and driving sections. One thing that stands out about Full Throttle is its visuals. Back in 1995, it looked pixelated, but the animations really stood out. With the remaster, the game features cartoonish high-definition models, and the game is expanded to the widescreen. This means there are added background elements to flesh out the world. It looks damn good, and is preferable to playing the 1995 version in almost every way. I say almost because some of the nuance from the classic version is missing from the high-definition version. Some locales lack the energy of the world that existed in the 1995 version of Full Throttle. Little animations like moving clouds, smoke, and crowds are non-existent when using the remastered setting. It's little details like this that gave more life to the world, and they are sadly lacking in the HD version of the game. Fortunately, the audio has improved drastically from the 1995 original. Everyone in Full Throttle had a slightly dull voice, which is emblematic of games in those days.
Look, let me tell you what happened.
I told you I don't want to get involved.
Look, let me tell you what happened.
I told you I don't want to get involved.
Now, all the audio is crisp and vibrant for each of the characters. Roy Conrad sounds great as the enigmatic biker Ben. The rest of the cast is great as well, as this was the first game to feature SAG actors and featured voices like Steve Bloom and Mark Hamill.
And that's your last word?
That's it.
Well, I'd like to make you just one final offer.
The music isn't too bad, but it's not a prominent enough figure to gush over. The voiceover, animations, and the puzzles are the reason to play this one. If you've never played Full Throttle, it's a stellar adventure title. It's one of the easier to understand games from the LucasArts days. The puzzles are relatively straightforward, but there are still some confusing ones in there just because. As with any remaster at this point, you can find a guide on the internet without much of an issue if you get stuck. Double Fine decided to keep the motorcycle puzzles intact. There are moments when Ben will have to battle other people on his bike with chainsaws, fertilizer, anything that he can get his hands on. It's like a less intense version of the original Road Rash. When playing with the mouse, the controls are kinda sloppy. It's so much better when using a controller and helps alleviate the repetitious moments of motorcycle jousting. And because some of the scenes are repetitive, they put in a skip button so you can actually skip past some of the longer scenes so you can get back to the game. Full Throttle is a great title with some tasty puzzle solving, but be very aware that it's particularly short. You can pound this one out in 2 to 4 hours of casual play. Full Throttle Remastered is well worth the time of any adventure enthusiast and even those slightly interested in the genre. At $15 for upgrading the graphics and sound, it's well worth the asking price for this classic. Full Throttle Remastered is still ahead of its time in puzzle design for point-and-click adventure titles. And while it's not as great as Day of the Tentacle or Secret of Monkey Island, it still earns high marks for thinking out of the box in the adventure genre.